folks. Welcome back to another Triple Threat podcast. If you haven't caught up before, that's Brett Baker. That's Jason Simard. I'm Todd Tramonte. And we run three, in a lot of ways, very similar businesses, and three, in a lot of ways, very different businesses. Three different personalities, skill sets, backgrounds. And what we do a couple times a month is jump on here, throw out a topic, and then give our three perspectives on that. So today we wanted to provide as much value as we can, and as always, learn from each other, challenge each other, poke a little fun at each other. So we're going to talk a little bit today about going pro with your scripting and your languaging. You'll hear some different perspectives. We'll talk about, stuff we borrow from each other, ways we can help each other get a little bit better. Are you sitting in an airplane right now, or is that a car?
Yeah, it's an airplane. I'm waiting on something, though. So, I'm waiting on someone to come here.
I don't know if you bought, a round smart car, or if you're literally in
a round smart car. No, we'll talk about that in a bit. But you just said languaging. Did you notice that?
It's the
most eloquent speaker just said languaging.
You're in a Wienermobile right now. Don't talk to me about my.
He's from Texas. He's from Texas. There's no proper languaging in
That's
Texas.
true.
They use words like y'all. I mean,
y'all.
Like, is that
the logical contraction of you all? It's a third person plural. We can talk about that later.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, today we're going to talk about seller scripting. We're actually going to do some live seller role play. We have done entirely this much show prep, zero filch.
As you can tell.
Yeah, we're going cold with this, which is the best part. Let's just see how ingrained these practices are. So let's set this up, okay? We're going to throw – so one person is going to be the coach. The other two people are going to be doing the role play. So one person's going to play the role of the client, and one person's going to play the role of the agent. The person who's the coach, you're going to throw out an objection that the agent needs to overcome. The person playing the role of the client, you need to give a little bit of pushback with that objection, reasonable amount, what you would expect out in the field. And then the person that's coaching, you're going to be taking some notes, and I want you to focus on one did well and one next time. Next time is something that they could do better next time, and be very specific in your feedback. I don't want to hear things like, oh, that was good. I really think you sounded good there. That's not helpful at all. It needs to be specific. What was it that went well? Specifically the behavior. What was the thing that could be better next time? Specifically, so that person can immediately walk away better, and then we'll have a little chat about it. So who wants to be the coach first? I'm going to be the coach.
Oh, what the heck? Yeah, Jason.
I'm going to be the coach first.
Yeah, he adjusts his jacket. I'll be the client first.
I'm going to take some notes. So you're the client.
Pop my collar then.
Todd, you're the coach, buddy.
He's an agent.
Okay.
So, which means as the client, I'm screwed right now because Todd has the best. Oh yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, Brett, I'm gonna send you right now 3 objections. Pick one in the chat, in a private chat that Todd is not going to be able to see. Okay, so I'm just gonna go on Facebook real quick, or actually,
okay, you're texting it to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna text it to you right now.
You can do it in Zoom if you want. Just change it from everyone to just his name, but whatever.
Yeah, that's all right. Do it. Text me. That's fine. I'll look. Oh, I can see that Jason is typing.
While they're doing that, for everybody listening, we do live role play here in the office a lot of times, and we have 3x5 cards, and we'll write a personality type like D, I, S, or C from disc profile or whatever you and your team know, and we'll write a couple of standard descriptors like single, married, price point, unique interest. And so the person playing the client can be really consistent with a style, a personality, their real unique, their needs. And so they just play that part. And it really helps in role play when the client is consistent and is realistic. And it allows for you to jump into role play really quick. So anyway, what they're doing is
let's do it.
All right.
Okay. So Todd, you're in a meeting right now. You're in the house with Brett, and you guys are sitting down. You're doing your market evaluation. So you've gone through your market evaluation, and now you're at the point where Brett is going to start giving you his thoughts, and you're just going to go and work with it from there. Okay.
Todd, I really like all that you guys have offered. Your 7 steps. That's pretty cool that you guys do all that. I think what it comes down to for someone like me is, I look at this. I bought this house 3 years ago. I don't have a ton of equity in it. I mean, I've got enough that's going to make it work. I'm really starting to be concerned, though, about, what does all that you do, what does this cost?
Yeah, well, it's a great question, Brett. I appreciate you asking it. Obviously, it's kind of an indication when you say all of this that you can see the difference between what we do and what most typical agents do. To be honest with you, a lot of people at this point are both excited and scared. So that's kind of what I'm hearing from you. Excited about all the value of the 7 steps and the team and the structure and everything we do. Maybe a little bit intimidated by what that number would be. And I would just tell you, it's a super fair number. We charge 10%. So how does that sound? I'm just kidding, Brett. We don't charge 10%. We don't charge 10%. Every single thing we just talked about, we do, including paying the buyer agent for 7.5%. So on your house, we talked about sort of the standard valuation would probably be somewhere around $440. And I believe based on our unique property marketing system and our unique staff, I would have to do some quick math. I would have already known my math, but on that, I would say, we probably come in around 470, maybe even 475, and we'll decide exactly which pricing and which strategy to go to together. But how's that sound to you?
So a normal real estate agent charges 6%. I don't understand, what that's a 1.5% more. Yeah, I'm paying you basically $5,000 more.
I've got good news for you. Actually, a normal agent in our market's right around 5.4%. 6 is what everybody expects, but to be honest with you, you can find 100 real estate agents by 5 o'clock today that would gladly drop their fee for you. So my question, and I'll gladly answer your question, but my question for you is, are you more concerned with the fee or the net dollar amount that you walk away with?
Well, aren't they the same? Won't the fee impact the other?
The fee will impact the other, but the two are very, very, very different. Trust me, I know some agents that would sell your house for 1%, meaning you pay them 1, they probably would still pay the buyer agent 3, and I'm telling you, you would be overpaying, my friend. They're not worth a single dime. They'll hurt you more than they help you. What I'm talking about is you won't pay me a single penny extra. As a matter of fact, you won't pay me anything until I've already generated a significant positive return for you. So even if you were thinking that 6 was sort of a standard fee, and I've already acknowledged to you that it's actually lower than that. But if you felt like you were paying me another 5 or whatever math we want to work with here, I would just ask you, if I go out and get you another 10 or 15 or 20 and you net out 5 or 10 or 15 extra, and you don't pay me a penny until you've already got the additional gain, does that sound like a good, fair deal for you?
Yeah, it does. I mean,
if you gave me a quarter and I gave you $1, how many times would you want to do that deal?
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Well, that's part of my problem. My other part is we're in a winter market. I'm afraid to put my house on the market right now because Christmas is coming up. I've got holidays to deal with. I just don't. I kind of, I appreciate you coming out here and I appreciate you talking with me, but I think that right now it might be better if I just waited until spring. Don't you think? When the market's better.
I actually don't think that, but I'll tell you this. Look, regardless of when you and your family and your finances are ready, I'll be here. I've been here 15 years. I'll be here probably another 15 years. So I'm not going anywhere. Whenever the right time for you is when I will suggest you sell the home. Now, as far as the market, and is that a better market? The answer is not likely. Everybody's not the same. This is not a one size, one strategy fits all business. Anybody who tells you that, I just kind of smile and escort them out. By the way, quick time out. I wouldn't be at your house. In our world, you would most likely be in our office. But I'll jump back in and we'll roll with it.
Okay. You're in your office.
Well, it doesn't matter. I'm just there's as far as how I would say that. I would say I'd hop up and shake hands. But anyway, so the reason that it's not necessarily a better market in the spring is that you're going to be up against a lot more competition from other sellers when it comes springtime. The other thing is in the springtime, there's definitely an increase in buyer activity too, but some of that activity is kind of inefficient. There's tire kickers. There's people that just want to kind of get out and look. They're not qualified. They're not ready. They're coming in your house. You're waking up every morning and sweeping and mopping and leaving the lights on, and they're not serious. This time of year, we get a really beautiful market where there's less seller competition, and the buyers that are still out looking are motivated. They're most likely qualified. They might even be cash buyers. A lot of them are trying to get something done by the end of the year for tax reasons or whatever benefit calendar is relevant to them for goals or school years or whatever. But I'm not saying that's always the case, but I would tell you, unless there's a family reason you would want to wait, it's a beautiful time to sell, especially if you're also going to buy, because now we can capitalize on both sides, and we'll buy a home from a traditional seller who's most likely a low confidence seller because they think what you just said. They think they need to wait till springtime to get max value. So we can actually hit the top end with a good strategy and then buy at the lower end with a great strategy. How does that sound?
It sounds a lot better than what the other 4 agents have told me.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. We do our very, very best to not sound anything like any other agent. So that's a huge compliment to me. So does it make sense for us to work together, Brett?
Sure does.
Awesome. We've got some state forms here that are super boring. I'll run through it so then we keep going.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Todd.
Jason?
Yeah.
How'd you do?
You know, I mean, Todd, you can obviously tell there's a lot of mastery and you've practiced. This isn't something that you just on the spot. We didn't even plan this whole thing, right? Literally, we're like, hey, we're doing a podcast today. I was like, why don't we do seller objections like a minute before we got on here? So it's not like you had a chance to prep. You don't have anything written down. This is just off the top of your head. And if you want to be good in this business, take some notes, because what you just saw there was a professional.
That was impressive.
Somebody who's practiced his skills, who's done this. And this is just like a reflex that happens during game time. It's not something that he has to think about. It's an instinct at this point. And it's a muscle that he's developed. And it's not like you started off like this, Todd. You've just done this so many times. Am I right?
Oh, you're absolutely. First of all, thanks for the compliments. I appreciate it. It doesn't matter how many times you've done it. It's good to hear people say that you do your job well. Secondly, no, look, both of these guys ramped up incredible businesses in like a 3-year period. I did not do that. I started off the old-fashioned way, being an idiot and probably not doing a great job for my clients. And then I bought a franchise. It was a flat fee franchise, and I did a lot of volume, and I learned a lot along the way. But I was 6 or 7 years in the business before I ever made a single outbound prospecting call.
Wow.
Now, that was 15, 16 years ago. We didn't have all the data and technology, but there were plenty of people doing it. I didn't know. I wasn't coached yet. I had no mentors or leaders. I hadn't fully dedicated to real estate specific education. And so, no, I absolutely, then I got a coach, and then I began to practice. Then I got dialers and technology and role play partners, and I bought scripts, and we wrote scripts, and we merged scripts, and we were creative. So you're spot on. Now, I think I will say this. Some people are more naturally inclined to it, but this is a learned skill, and anybody can get to a level of competency. A lot of people can get to mastery, and I think some people should be doing this lots of hours because it will generate revenue. It will generate profit. I think that was a relatively realistic back and forth too, right? Those were not unreasonable objections. You could have pushed a little bit more. You could have closed a little earlier, but that was very, very common, very reasonable.
I think the truth is, you just mentioned it. The funny part that I hate to admit, and I probably shouldn't put this on a recording, I've made very few outbound calls. I know that scares a lot of people. I've made very few. And I think the truth is, everybody talks about their scripting. My scripts suck. And I told you guys that before we got on camera. My scripts are horrible. My scripts are horrible because most of my calls are inbound because I've done the marketing that by the time they get a hold of me, they already want to work with me. So this should be interesting if I have to do a script because it's going to be horrible.
Well, you will, but I'll say that too. I mean, that's probably another podcast that we've done and probably will do again, is attracting versus chasing business. But I think most people are looking to have a balanced business. If we were scripting an inbound call for me, or a referral or a radio call, that's we'd be done in 45 seconons most of the time. But it'll still be constructive to run through one of those. But before we move on to another one, do you have any tips, any improvements, any coaching points, Jason?
So let's focus on some of the things that you did well. Okay. So, basically what you did is you said, you can see what we do and how we're different. You know, when you were talking about the commission objection, you basically put that out there. You can see what we do and why we're different. And that's why you're asking the question, is because you're thinking, wow, this is going to cost me an arm and a leg. And then you used a pretty savvy technique there. And you said, well, our service is 10%, just to throw a crazy number to just kind of set them up for it. And then you went back and you said, no, like really our service is 7.5%. That's what we charge. And you explained why. And it made sense. You articulated it nicely. So I thought that was something that you did really well. Mm-hmm. The other line that was quite funny was, you know, if you gave me a quarter and every time I gave you $1 back, you'd probably do that deal over and over, wouldn't you? And so again, you're just sort of like making people understand, you know, the value of getting what you pay for. And you said, look, actually, because they said, well, aren't there people out there that, you know, charge 5%? And you're like, actually, there's people that'll charge less than that. I can find 100 right now that will offer the services for a lot less money. And you were really honest about that. And there's nothing wrong with that, because it's true. There's people that will offer a much more discounted service, but we all know that in life you get what you pay for. For example, I'm not going to hire an attorney based on his billable rate. I'm going to hire an attorney based on his skills, based on his track record, based on what he can do for me. Because if I have to hire a lawyer, I'm not looking at the dollars, I'm looking at the defense. Or I'm looking at the offense that I'm submitting, and it's not the billable hours I'm looking at. I need the best. And the best usually will charge fair premium for that. Am I right or wrong?
I literally went through it.
Absolutely. If you've got anything of value to protect or fight for, whether it's an attorney, a doctor, an accountant, you're not looking for cheap. And our whole passion is to bring real estate agents onto the level of doctor, attorney, CPA. Now, there's a big difference. Take accounting, for example. Are you going to go by the little retail guy that pops up at tax time? Or do you have a dude that does this year round that's a pro?
Right.
He's on the front end of new tax law. So now if you're, no disrespect to anybody, but if your taxes are unbelievably simple and you've earned an hourly wage all year, that guy's fine. And that's why I say, look, if you just want some dude to shove it on the MLS and you take the calls, I'm not the guy no matter what we talk about right now. So that's an option for you. Yeah. Now, from a negotiation standpoint, from a role play standpoint, Brett, one might say from a languaging standpoint, it's a trust builder to tell them that truth. You know, in a sales pitch, you call that a damaging admission. Hey, now this isn't for everybody. Look, if you really don't want what I do, then this isn't for you. There's a strategic, you could use it to be almost manipulative, but in a genuine exchange where you're trying to build a relationship, I think you owe it to people to tell them you have plenty of other options. So anyway, that's why we do that. Now, what could I have done better, Jason?
Well, I mean, there's not a lot, truthfully, but I mean, some things.
Talked too long a couple of times.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, what I would suggest is maybe moving away from things like, specific amount, like, oh, you're going to net 10,000 or 15,000 more, because truthfully, you don't know that for a fact, right? I believe 100% with our proven systems that we consistently outperform the market consistently. And we have stats to back that up. So I know that if there's anybody that's going to net you the most money in your pocket, I really 1000% believe that it's us. We have a proven marketing program that's proven itself over and over for years. I would maybe go down that path versus trying to put a specific amount to it, Todd, because I mean, look, at the end of the day, do you know it's 10, 15? I mean, it's super hard to quantify that, but I think it's really honest to say my true honest belief and 1000% conviction is the following, and explain that. And I think once I hear somebody who's sitting across from me and I 100% believe they're being honest and genuine and they have a passion, that's good enough for me. And I think it's not walking sort of any line where you get pigeonholed. That would be my.
No, you're spot on. And usually I won't say usually, a lot of the time we don't, but our unique selling proposition, our big guarantee, our over-under guarantee, it does occasionally lead us down needing to quantify a little bit. But generally speaking, that's a more appropriate approach, is building it based on confidence and not cornering yourself with a hard number. So that's a good tip. All right, let's switch it up real quick so we can get a couple more in.
Okay.
I'll play coach or I'll play seller. What do y'all want?
I'm easy going.
I'll be the agent. What the heck?
Okay, let's see it, Brett.
Here we go.
And then I'll be the client. So, Todd, do you want to text me my objections?
Sure.
This ought to be interesting. For those of you watching, I haven't had to do this in a while.
Yeah, he's been retired for like a week.
Oh, shut up. It's been 2 months. Oh, man.
Man, these old guys. How's coffee every morning at McDonald's, by the way?
Hey, you know what? Starbucks, and it's phenomenal. I don't even have to order anymore. They just know who I am. You are so mean to me.
No, I'm just really jealous.
No, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. I'm incredibly bored. Like right now, I'm sitting waiting for a mechanic right now, who, by the way, it's like you, fashionably late. He was supposed to be here. So I'm literally sitting here, bored to tears. Well, with you guys. You guys are awesome. But, this is my view. Yeah. That's the front end of an airplane with the engine cover up, waiting.
Did you get that, Jason?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, geez. This is going to be good.
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so again, set it up. We've already gone through the listing process, and now I'm going to just throw some objections at you at the end.
That you are. Yep.
Here's the thing, Brett. You're definitely boldly different. I like everything that you've said today. The pink is I'm digging that. It's actually my favorite color. The only thing is my sister-in-law is actually an agent.
Yep, and we get that a lot. When you look at it, there are 872 agents in the Tri-Cities area. And so it doesn't surprise me at all with a population like what we've got, that there are other agents that you know. My question for you is, what else does your sister-in-law do? What is her career? Is she an agent full-time?
She is an agent full-time, yes.
Oh, cool. What company does she work for?
She works for Remax.
Got it. So my question for you is, what made you reach out to us? You've seen our ads, obviously you've seen our branding. What made you reach out to us?
Well, I think it's exactly those things. Is we saw your branding. You're clearly effective in that strategy, I see you guys everywhere.
My next question for you is, have you called her yet and let her know that your house is going on the market?
No, I haven't.
Okay. What we've found in the past, it's kind of funny. So my backstory is, when I got into real estate, my dad's been doing this forever and ever and ever. And before I really got into it, I love my dad dearly, but I didn't really want him involved in all of my finances. And so what I've found is that most people, when they use a family member, now all of a sudden the family dynamic changes a lot. You've reached out to us. You've seen what we've done. You see that we're obviously the leaders when it comes to marketing. The thing that I would like to reach out and say is, when you choose someone like us, we're strictly business. There's no family involved in this. We're strictly business. We're here to get the job done for you, and we're here to get you the absolute highest price, because that's what we do. If you've seen anything, you've seen our marketing, you know exactly how we work. Our job is to get you the most money in your pocket with the least amount of stress.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. So one little detail that is kind of important to you is my wife is actually on the title or the deed of the property, and she's actually out of town.
She's out of town. Oh, that's not good. Well, you know what? The truth is, what I would like to do is, I would really like to be able to sit down with both of you and have this same conversation. Because we're in Washington, it is joint property. You automatically own it because of her. You guys own it 50-50. So I really do need her in town, or at least get her on the phone. We can have a chat. Once we're back, back at the office, we can get a 3-way call going. Whatever works best for you. When do you think she'll be back?
She'll be back next week.
Okay, perfect. So as you know, it takes us about a week and a half to get a house on the market. It's not something that we rush into. We take our time. So what I really want to do is, I want to wait until your wife is back in town. I want to sit back down with her, and I want to go back through all of this again. That way she can hear it and you can hear it with fresh ears. Would that make sense for you?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's end it right there. Coach Todd.
Oh, God.
Let's start with the did wells. So specific did wells.
Yeah. So I think the greatest thing you did the whole time is really, really powerful is in the face of a really annoying objection, like my sister-in-law's a real estate agent. The first thing out of your mouth is powerful. Hey, well, you reached out to me. Now you talked about it in regard to, what made you give us a call? You called us, obviously you saw our branding, and he had sort of said in his explanation, like, we love the pink, we love Boldly Different. You don't have to say much more. You don't need to make somebody feel stupid. You don't need to tell them their sister-in-law is an idiot. You clearly identify like something about that was inadequate, or you wouldn't have gone hunting. Right.
Right.
A lot of people will go the route of sometimes you need to, of going piece for piece. Hey, does your sister-in-law get your property on this many websites? Hey, does your sister-in-law bring out a professional?
No need.
There's no need to until you need to, right? So may have to go there.
Ego. That's the whole ego battle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they might take you there when they start saying, well, she said she'd do it for this and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, she would do all of this for that, but the positioning and the way you handled it he had already acknowledged the really strong positioning. I thought was handled really, really well.
Yeah, I love that too. I love the question when you sort of said, you know what, like I totally understand that. I really like to know what made you reach out to us. Yeah. What was it about what we did that caught your attention? I think that's a brilliant strategy. Get them to start opening up and share where they're coming from, because it'll make it much easier for you to overcome the objection once you understand.
And negotiation trainers will teach that as like a tie down, that like, it's like you trap them, you make them tell you why, but you didn't do it that way. It's the same strategy. You did it like with an open mind, like, hey, I understand that makes a lot of sense, but I appreciate the fact that you reached out to us. Tell me why you gave us a call. Like very warm, you gave him room to be confident and not feel like he's betraying anyone. I thought it was really well done. 1.5 little quick improvements.
Yeah.
Wait, we're not there yet, Todd.
Okay, go ahead.
You gotta start, when you do this exercise, you got to start with the did wells. Make sure there's acknowledgement. Brett, what's one thing for next time that you think you did, or sorry, what's one thing you felt you did really well in the call specifically?
Oh, just the basically point out to her that she called us, or point out to them that they called us first. Basically, that was what I was trying to get is, hey, you know what? Before you even told your sister that the house was going on the market, you reached out to us.
Yeah.
So that was where I was going with that.
I think you did a couple other things well that I know, but anytime you know the specific data of your market, we call that evidence of success or evidence of expertise. And you're not just dropping it on them like in a really annoying way, but you said, hey, that makes total sense. There's 827 or whatever you said, licensed agents in the Tri-Cities area. He's just sitting there going, God, this dude is sharp. He's not a jerk. He's not steamrolling. He's not showing me his trophies, but he knows his stuff. He's comfortable. He's confident. He's under control. I'm not rattling him. So I thought that knowing your data there was really good. And when you can weave it in conversationally instead of hitting them with 9 straight bullet points, it's more powerful.
Yeah. So now, Todd, we can go into the next time. And this is something, in coaching, people want to just like start hammering on the next times, but you really need to reiterate key behaviors that are going well with people. They need to hear that too, because you want to make sure that behavior is remembered. Like, oh yeah, that does work really well and is effective, because there was a lot of effective things you did. But so next time, Todd, what's one thing and one thing only right now that Brett could do to be more effective with this type of objection handling?
They're both. One thing it's minor, just a little voice pattern, minor thing. It may just be personal to me, but I didn't love the strictly business reference. I know exactly what you were doing. You're talking about I'm not family, so there's some separation.
Right.
The only thing I would suggest doing differently there is saying, hey, I understand working with family sometimes can be a little challenging, whatever. With us, it's going to be a professional relationship. Now, we still want to build the relationship. We'd love to take good care of you guys for the long haul. But Thanksgiving, we use a line where we say Thanksgiving dinner is going to taste the same. Thanksgiving dinner tastes a little different when you owe somebody at the table money, or when the person sitting across from you can't get your home sold. So I love where you went with it. I would just be a little bit careful with strictly business, because up until then you had been really relational, really cool and smooth with it. So I would have probably just added that, or I would have backed off that a tiny bit. But, again, that's minor, nitpicky too. I
appreciate that.
You're being hard on yourself on your scripting. I thought it was really well done.
One thing for next time, Brett, that I think might be effective. So when I brought up the objection, hey, my wife is going to be out of town.
Yeah.
You started going down the path of, well, I certainly understand, like, you guys are both in this together and I would love to sit down and meet with you both. What I might have done is I might have explored that a little deeper. And I might have said, hey, Brett, tell me a little bit more about, the conversations you and your wife have had around selling the house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, can you tell me, like, what are the reasons you guys have explored this? What's not working with the house right now with your, like, get to, like, dig a little deeper to the whys, because he might say, oh, my wife hates this house. My wife is really frustrated, and, she's looking, and he'll start telling you a whole bunch of stuff that's super important. And then what you could say, it sounds like, Brett, that, you and I would work really, really well together. I would love to give the opportunity to chat with your wife. Do you think she'd be okay if I just touched base with her? Yeah.
So here's why that would never happen in my situation. I make sure that, so I pull a title report before we even talk. Yeah. So it's not, I've already pulled the title report. So I'll look and be like, oh, is Mary around?
Right. And Brett, let's not defend it, because let's just say
fair enough.
You got thrown in this situation. Somebody booked an appointment for you. You didn't have time to do it, and this just happened. Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because it's going to happen. And is it part of your process? No. Normally, you would have gone and had the wife there. But let's just say you showed up thinking the wife is going to be there, and she's not.
Sure.
That does happen. That's a real thing. These are real challenges that agents are facing in the field. I face it sometimes. Yeah. So it's something we can train to so that it's minimized. But let's just say it did happen. And I really want this to kind of sort of hit home. How could you take it a little bit further? I just think slow down and just dig a little bit deeper with the husband, get to the who, what, where, why. And that'll build a stronger rapport and relation. And the bigger the why becomes, the easier it is for people to start seeing, like, how this makes sense. And the more they're moving themselves towards that step of listing. This is a big step for people. And then once they start realizing what's not working about their current scenario, and you've sort of, reiterated that to them, and they're self-exploring, it's amazing how much further things go and how quickly the listing starts coming together. So that would be my feedback for next time. Sure. Todd, I don't know if you have one thing you want to finish on with that. Was that helpful?
I gave mine. I think you're hard on yourself. I think you're pretty good.
You're a stud for sure.
Let's flip it one more. I'll play seller. Jason plays agent. Brett's the coach. Brett, you want to send me a couple of objections?
Yeah, give me a minute. I can do that.
And then you want to do at the table again? Keep it the same? Okay.
Sure. Yeah, we're at the table. We could be at your.
Do you do that though, Jason? You're usually you meet in the office, don't you?
Sometimes we'll meet at my office. Sometimes we'll meet there. It depends. If I have a mobility issue or the person is 25 minutes away, might not be convenient for them to come to my office, I'll go to their house. Yeah. So I mix it up based on what I've determined is necessary, but I'm not I'm not super rigid about it.
Okay.
Quick 10-second break to tell you about our sponsor, Real Geeks. Todd, Brett, and Jason all use Real Geeks as their website, home search, and prospecting database. Check it out at realgeeks.com. Now, back to the show.
And by the way, I do my evaluations in two parts. Always.
Always?
Always in two parts. 10% of the time, if I know it's for sure, it's a done deal and it's like a listing that's super easy to evaluate on the spot, I might go in with the listing papers and do it in one shot. But most of the time, I'll follow a two-step process. And the reason for that is, number one, is I get to build more rapport with the client. So that I get to meet them one time, we build rapport. I'll dig a little bit deeper, build some trust and value, get to see the house that I'm evaluating, the condition, so I can get a sense of that. And then when I come in the second time, I've seen the home, I've taken notes, and when I put my evaluation together, I can be a lot more detailed. And I think clients appreciate it, because how can you evaluate a house that you've never seen? Because there's a lot of things. Maybe they've done upgrades and updates to the house that you haven't seen before. So myself, I'm a big fan of the two-step. Then it allows me to be more accurate in my valuations too, I find.
So on this one, we're going to assume that you're coming back. You've already run your numbers.
Yeah. So we've gone through the presentation.
Yeah. You've already done the presentation.
Yeah. So now, Todd, you're gonna just hit me with some objections, and then I'm just gonna work through them with you. And
so Jason, where we're at in this one is I want you to come up with a price for the house, and I want you to tell Todd what the price is.
Okay. Perfect.
Ready to go.
All right. So Todd, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man. So tell me what you think this bad boy is going to sell for.
So can I pause for a sec?
Yeah.
So my valuation process, just so you understand, is I would have gone through comparable sales, probably at least 6 comparable sales that are similar to the home within the last 2 to 3 months. I would have gone through our top 6 competitors in the marketplace that we're competing with if we were hitting the market today. So I've actually gone through factual information with Todd before I've thrown a number out there. Okay. So Todd, based on the facts that I've looked at, and I've studied this for a few hours now, I think I have a really good sense of where your home should be priced. And one of the things that I want to do is just be very, very transparent with you. I feel your home, the ideal list price would be $449,000. I think that's the ideal list price.
Okay.
Now there's a couple strategies that we could take. We could try and price a little bit higher than the fair market value being $449,000, $450,000, or we could price your home a little bit sharper and create a lot of interest. And I want to just take you back to the main competitors. And there was 2 that really stood out to me because their square footage, lot size, the area, they're very similar to your house. The finishings are very similar. And I think, you remember me showing them to you. So I want to point those back out. One of them's currently listed at $459,000 and the other one's listed right at $449,000 as well. So keep that in mind, that I think in this market where there's a little bit more competition building right now, we want to be the home that's priced to sell next, because we don't know. There's a little bit of volatility that we've talked about that's going on in the market right now. And I can't predict where the market's going to be in 3 months, 6 months, but I can tell you that if we price your home competitively, we have the best chance of getting the ideal outcome. So I really stand behind, I feel $449,000 is the ideal price. And we could certainly go a little bit higher, a little bit lower based on your thresholds. But, if I'm being honest with you, that's where I think it should go. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I understand that you've looked at the numbers, and it doesn't sound crazy. But so my sister's an agent, and she doesn't live here, but she doesn't live too far. And she had looked at the numbers for us, and really we were, based on what she said, we were really thinking it would be about $460,000. And obviously some of the neighbors are selling in that range too. So I'm pretty sure I would want to try to get that.
Okay. Well, Todd, one of the things that's important is that we're sort of on the same page, and keep in mind that at the end of the day, you are the boss, you make the final say. So here's my thoughts on that. $459,000 or $460,000 is not far from $449,000. We could definitely create a strategy to test the market at that price. We're entering in a business partnership together. I work with you, and I certainly benefit if we sell it for the higher price as well. And I don't think that we're far off the mark. I think we can make a compelling argument, especially if we take the time to follow our systems of getting the home prepared properly for market, all the extra channels of marketing that we'll put and the exposure we'll put to your home. I don't think it's a crazy number to start at that. Now, if you're asking me transparently where I think we should be, I definitely agree $449,000 is the right price. But if you want to test the market, let's test it, but let's put a timeline on it. Let's test it for 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, 3 scenarios are going to play out, Todd. Scenario 1 is we get an offer in the first 2 weeks. Well, if we get an offer in the first 2 weeks, we know that we're likely to net you the most money because the best offers come early on in the process. Scenario 2 that plays out might be we get a lot of showings, 8 or more, 10 or more showings, and we don't get any offers. Well, that's the market probably telling us that we're slightly overpriced. Option 3, which is the one we don't want to happen, is we just don't get a lot of activity. Then we know for sure that we have missed the mark with price. But we'll know that in the first 2 weeks. Does that seem like a fair compromise?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think that makes sense.
Okay, perfect. I'm comfortable going with that number, Todd, as long as we, again, are on the same page. And it sounds like we are. You're a very reasonable guy, and you've looked at the same information that I have. And one thing I will say is I've yet to meet a seller who doesn't think their house is worth a little bit more. Just like I've yet to meet a buyer who doesn't think a house might be worth a little bit less. I mean, you do have a vested interest in the sale of the house more than anybody, but you're pretty reasonable, and I think we're on the right page here.
Yeah, to be honest, I wanted 475, but she told me 460 was the max. So, I had one other thought. The photos and the videos and everything you guys do sound awesome. I got a pretty sweet camera for Christmas last year. So if I do that stuff myself, what am I going to say?
That's a good question, Todd. So one of the things that I'm known for is having a very consistent program that I offer my clients, and it delivers results. And I no offense to you, Todd, but I hire professionals who specialize in real estate photography. And there is a system and a theory to the madness that we do. And I want to make sure that you're getting the benefit of our marketing. So with all due respect, let me hire the people that I work with because they'll deliver results. The reason that I got the phone call today or, the other day for you to come in is because you'd seen what we do before. And I want to make sure that I maximize your return on this investment. This is probably one of your biggest investments that you hold, and I'm going to treat it as such. I will not cut a single corner, and I won't spare a single dollar as far as the marketing goes, because two things. I want you to be a raving fan club member for our team. And the only way to do that is for me to earn that. That was a little shot at you there, Todd.
Yeah, jeez.
I felt it right here in the heart, right here.
Raving fan club, tailoring this presentation to the person I'm talking to. But the reality of it is, Todd, is as for me, I care about the result, which is getting you the most money that I can. And I won't cut any corners in that process. And I'm so passionate about it that I am willing to walk away from business if it means compromising my standards, because I take that much pride in the work that I do. So is that fair that I can use the people that I know and trust? No offense to you, Todd. If there's one or two photos that we deem could fit in this whole program, absolutely, we'll look at them. But I do want to use the team that I use every time because they work.
I told her I had never used the freaking Nikon, Jason, but she bought it for me and I never use it now. So.
Okay, perfect. Well, you know what? It takes years to master photography.
Oh my God.
And Steve.
Okay, so things I thought you did really well. Honestly, what I gave you was something that we've actually dealt with recently. The I want to price my home slightly higher. I like that. I like that you actually were like, you know what? That's not unreasonable. I like that you verified their feelings. You validated their feelings. And that showed. The thing that I love is we're in a business relationship together. I love how you said that. That made me happy. I was surprised, to be honest with you, that you agreed on the price, but I love that you set a deadline. That's setting the expectation right off the bat. Like, hey, look, we'll try this because I know you really want to try this, but we're setting a deadline on this. At this date, we're dropping the price. I like that a lot. So there's not that open-ended, when are we going to drop the price kind of thing. As far as the photography, we get that all the time. We get that all the time with people will say that, like, will you discount? Nope, not at all. And I love, my number one thing that I love out of that is I'd be willing to walk away from this if you're not willing to use the people that I'm willing, that I want to hire. And what that's showing is it's basically, it's showing like, I am so confident in what we do that if this isn't going to work, this isn't a good fit. And I really, really, really like that. Like I said, we get that a lot. A lot of people will say, will you discount if I do this? No, I don't want you doing that. I don't want you touching photography. That's not what you do. And I like how you said, even though you're like, no, you know what? No, we're not going to do that. But if there's a picture or two that we deem will work for what we're doing, we might include it. Like, hey, go take a picture and that person feel happy about it. Next times, dude, I usually stick to my guns. When it comes to pricing, I'll say, you know what? During the first week of the market, that's when we get the most attention. Your home hasn't been on the market in 5 years. People haven't seen this house in 5 years, so it's going to get a ton of attention in the first week. How about we try it at this price for the first week? And if we don't get results, I will do something, which I never like to do, which I'll raise the price. By the way, when you do that, people freak out. And they go, why did the price go up? And then you have an excuse. But I tried at the first price. Like, hey, try it my way. And we can always even go lower than that if you want to start lower and really drive them home. But by that point, you've already gone over everything with them. And I would have stuck to my guns is what I would have done. But that's me. I'm weird like that.
No, that's, here's the thing with feedback. You always got to take it. You always got to take it, weigh it carefully, think about it. process it, not do what these two gentlemen wanted to instinctively do, which I do often myself, is get defensive. But there's nothing worse when you have a coach who's giving you feedback is to not validate what they're saying and at least take it in. And so I'm going to take your feedback and I'm going to weigh it carefully and I'm going to really process it. So thank you for sharing.
My take on that is, the market better than anybody. You're looking at the market. That agent is far away. They don't live in that area. I would have said, from an outsider perspective, I can see why she would want to price this house $10,000 higher. I see the numbers from a different side. I get to see what's sold in the past, what's pending now, and really where our market trend is going. Right now, this makes the most sense. Do you need to sell it fast or do you have a ton of time? What was the situation? I would have dove in a little deeper on, do you need to sell the house now or do you have 6 months to sell it? Where is your, that, and that's where I would have gone with that. I love how you said though, like, where do I see it selling? I see it selling right around here. I like that because you kind of brought it all back like, hey, this is where I think it's going to be. But I would have dove a little bit deeper on her or on Todd there and really gotten into it.
Yep.
So,
And keep in mind that we have to assume in our processes that we all came to this, that would have been done because I would have gone deeper and, would have used that.
Yeah.
There's so many unknowns in role play.
But the key thing is here is how would we react in these scenarios? I want the audience to sort of see how we and see, look, we're not perfect at this.
Right.
We're never going to be perfect.
Right.
We're looking to strive to improve. And that's the whole thing. Todd, what's one thing for next time for me? One thing that I did well first. And then
let me give you a positive first. I think your positioning of your process as proven, as the way you do things, as really not worth messing with. And you did it before the objection, you handled it with the objection, and you did it after the objection. It was just like, hey, we have a methodology. I think you used the word methodology a few times, which is a great word that is not super commonly used. We use proprietary systems sometimes too, like words like that people are just like, I'm not saying you need to improve on it in any way. A lot of times we'll say, this isn't necessarily about each of those individual things we do and what they cost. It's about this wonderful tapestry we weave together and how it all compounds and you get this massive benefit from this proven system. So I thought you did that really, really well. One little quick one for next time, and I probably do this worse than you, but I'm always trying to correct myself on sort of filibustering and talking for too long of a single stretch without getting the interaction and the engagement. And again, it's really hard in a role play to do that when you're trying to kind of share your good stuff. But I'm always cautious that I don't go for 60, 70, 90 seconds of 2 minutes without kind of checking in or getting interaction. And there was just like one or I think two little points where I was like, okay, kind of, wrap it up a little bit. But it was all great stuff that no one as a potential seller is going to sit there and worry about that. But if that happens a lot, it can start to feel like a presentation more than a conversation. But
agreed.
That's pretty nitpicky. So really, really, really good stuff. Anybody have any extra thoughts or tips to add just on seller scripts?
I'm going to say this. I think the best tool for conversion is connecting with your client. Connect early, connect often, be genuine, be transparent, and become an advisor. An advisor educates. And so what I'll tell a client is, hey, look, Todd, my goal today is to have you as educated about your home's value as I am as a professional. If I've done that, then I've done a really good job of setting you up for success with the sale of your home. So let me go and do that. And here's how I'm going to do that. And I set it up. And then we go through and I educate them through the market. Yeah. And by doing that, you actually avoid a lot of objections because the trust and the rapport is being built. And I'll be honest, I don't get the pricing objections very much, if at all. I don't get the commission objections, hardly, if at all. I don't get I don't get a lot of objections because of the process that I follow. And there's a confidence because once I've educated them, we're also talking about the plan. What's the plan going forward? And I'm assuming we're working together and I walk them through what that looks like. And that works beautifully with sellers. It's like the most powerful. It's not the sizzle. It's not all the websites and the marketing tools. It's your confidence and your advisory skills that really gets it done. So
Yeah,
Anybody?
I agree. And I would say the same thing. I think earlier we referenced when you do that with confidence and respectful authority, that works really well. One thing I would add, and Jason mentioned for a second that he was customizing his discussion to his audience. He was kind of joking about Raven Fan Club. But you do need to do that. And that's where I talked about in our role play sessions, we'll put on the card their kind of disc profile, what the kind of person they are. You want to be paying attention to that, kind of matching, mirroring, pacing. If they're hardcore, give me the details, you need to lean that way a little bit.
Right.
If they're super relational, if they're extra kind of feeler type, then you need to lean into that a little bit. And then I would just say the universal language is humor. So if you can layer in humor, like I was joking about the 10% thing. I kind of joked, even when I was the client, I was sort of joking about, well, my wife bought me the camera. What am I supposed to do with it now? Huh? But that stuff is valuable. Like if you haven't built rapport, no system, no numbers are gonna get the job done. So I think knowing their personality style, knowing their pattern and customizing to them a little bit, and then trying to instill some humor as much as you can appropriately really goes a long way. So any final thoughts, Brett? Oh, he's muted. He's playing with his phone.
Sorry.
Any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
Brett Baker. Cool.
There we are. I think we covered pretty much everything that I would have covered. I don't really have anything too much to add. I think the truth is, I think the problem with people that rely so much on scripts, they forget to personalize. And scripts are great. I think everybody should use other people's scripts, and I think they should personalize them to themselves, because I hear too many robots in our industry. We have enough of those. Be you and make the scripts work for you and who you are. Internalize them is really, I think, the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, very, very cool. Just want to remind everybody that we're sponsored by Real Geeks. All three of us use Real Geeks platforms for lead gen, follow-up, prospecting, and some other really cool tools that they offer too. So we always appreciate the partnership each of us have had with Real Geeks helping us build our businesses, and we always try to contribute. So if you're a Real Geeks user, just know we're right there with you. If you're not, that's something we would all suggest you at least take a peek at and look at as a solution to help build your business. So we appreciate you for tuning in. We'll do it again very, very soon. We'll jump on here, throw out a topic, and give you 3 unique perspectives. So appreciate the time, guys. Hope this is valuable to folks listening. We will see you on the next one. Over and out.
See ya.
See you guys.